Hello, you wonderful people. I hope you can see and hear us. I am joined here by Pierre. We are really excited for the January community call. Before we jump into it, if you're in the chat, say hello. Where you from? How you doing? How is the weather? We are very, very excited to have you here. And while all the folks are just jumping in, we will just, oh my goodness, so many people in the chat already. Great to see you all. Hello. Nice. We have Jonathan, Gergely. Oh my goodness, the chat's moving too quick for me to read the names. Ronald, Mahnur, awesome to have everybody. Really, really amazing time. And I hope you all had wonderful holidays. Nice and good saying hello from Indonesia. My goodness, from Netherlands, from Brussels. All these cool places to go to visit. Sweden, Stockholm, pretty cold. My goodness, I'm in Austin, Texas, so not too cold. How's the weather for you, Pierre? Nice.
Yeah, I was suggesting that we could do a Strapi World tour. So yeah, but cloudy today. It was a bit rainy. It's getting better now.
Yeah, that sucks sometimes. You know, the weather's not the best that we want, but that's the part of being weather. But I know what's really exciting, all the things that we're gonna talk about today. So let's jump in. I'm just gonna quickly go through what's the other agenda. I'm gonna do a quick intro just to get some of the necessities out of the way, but I'm really, really excited about everything that Pierre is going to share with us. So I hope you're just as excited. And if you are, throw some emojis there on the screen. But the first thing I would just want to say, we're going to do these events quarterly because we do want to make them more special and we want to make sure we present them as like mini StrapiConf, if you will. So a lot of cool things to share. And I think it'll be really great for the community. The second thing that I want to say, if you're a Strapi partner community member, or you just love building cool things with Strapi, and if you have an interesting product or project that you want to share with us, you could always reach out to me. I'll make sure to share my email in the comments because we love to hear your story and share how you're using Strapi and how you're enjoying. And if you ever have a burning question or you want to talk to someone, we hang out on Discord Monday through Friday, 12:30 p.m. CST time, answering questions that anybody could have. So if you have a question and you want to talk to an actual person like me, Derek, and other people that hang out in our Discord channel, stop on by and say hello. And the biggest thing, we just want to say Happy New Year from Pierre and I and everybody on Strapi team, all the co-founders, all the folks that work there. I hope you and your family had an amazing time, and we're really, really looking forward for 2024. But more importantly, we do want to thank you for your support because without you, you know, Strapi would not be where it is today. And some of the accomplishments that we have over around 60K of GitHub stars, over 1,000 contributors, over 12 million downloads. And again, it's because of you, because of the community that we're able to achieve all these things. And just to kind of give some highlights from the community and some of the things that you all helped us with, we had community assistant with the helper plugin migration. You're always really good letting us know about security vulnerability and reports. Also, V5 and we started getting feedback on the RFCs, and I'll share the link here in the comment in just a second. If you want to continue to give feedback, really, really appreciate it. We had some new plugins on the marketplace, you know, really cool, very, very excited. So let me share that link to the RFCs first before moving on, so that way you all know that you could go and give us your feedback, your suggestions. But without any ado, I want to welcome Pierre, our co-founder and CEO here at Strapi, and I'm really, really excited about all the things he's going to share with us today. So Pierre, if you want to take over the screen share and go from there.
Thanks a lot, Paul, for the intro. So I'm going to share my screen in a second. All right. So thanks, everyone, for being here with us today. So the goal of this community call, is really to celebrate 2023 and to talk about what's next for Strapi in 2024. So before we dig in, I have one question for you. What is the favorite thing that you appreciated about Strapi in 2023? If you had one thing to remember when you think about 2023 and Strapi, what would it be? Please go ahead, share your thoughts in the chat. All right. Well, if I can help you answer this question and bias you a little bit, well, I'm delighted about everything we've done together as a community. The project, which 58,000 stars on GitHub, which makes Strapi one of the most starred repositories on GitHub. And so if you did not add a star yet on Strapi, feel free to do so. You only need to go on github.com/Strapi/Strapi. So that's, of course, where the project lives. And so it's really amazing to everything we're building together as a community and making the project more and more popular. We also doubled the number of annual downloads, which is quite impressive, going from 2 million to 4 million downloads on NPM within 12 months. So that's a big jump. And we are now at 936 contributors. We closed 1,307 issues in 2023. 6,448 commits were pushed on the repository in 2023. And it was a total of 298 pull requests merged on the repository. On Discord, we are now more than 21,000 people. So that's yet another record. So congrats, everyone. That's very impressive. A few things I would like to share about 2023. StrapiConf. StrapiConf was amazing in 2023. We've seen a lot of talks from many different companies, from many of you sharing the way you use Strapi, the way you contribute to Strapi. This was an amazing event. The marketplace is getting better and better. We're now at 166 plugins published on the marketplace. And by the way, we've published an article on our blog today with all of this announcements and progress. Feel free to take a look at it. A few features, a few improvements that we released in 2023 include bulk publish. You can now publish multiple entries at the same time. So within the list view, you can select several entries, click on publish or unpublish or delete. And so it saves a lot of time. This was one of the most requested features, and now it's live. We also introduced review workflows. So thanks to review workflows, you can now define who needs to review the content before it's published. If you work with a lot of teammates, this is something that you will certainly appreciate, making sure that there is no content that is on purpose or not on purpose published on your website or application. So it gives you much more control on what's going to be live. TypeScript, I suppose there are a lot of developers in this room, and JavaScript is amazing. TypeScript gives that additional safety by adding typing to JavaScript. And the level of TypeScript compared to beginning of 2023 is, just another level. You can now customize your Strapi applications using TypeScript. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of errors. And so this is, of course, a game changer for developers. Another massive improvement that we released in 2023 is data export, import, transfer. Strapi has been designed to be installed locally on developers' computers. This is where developers customize the content structure. This is where we add additional API endpoints. This is where we modify the admin panel. And once all of this is done, we need to deploy in production. And what often happens is that locally, we add all of the content with a few blog posts. We add all of the components that we want on our homepage. Whatever the use case is, we add a lot of content, a lot of data in Strapi when being in the local environments. And then we need to push all of this content to staging. the process was very complex before this new feature. And now, thanks to data export, import, and transfer, you can, within one CLI command, migrate all of this content, or maybe only a few of this content. What I mean is that you can select the content type that you want to migrate from one environment to another. And this is very convenient because you can not only push content from development to staging and to production, but you can also pull this content, which is very convenient because we all know that while making all of these updates locally on our computers, some people will update the content in production. So it's very important to be able to synchronize all of that content. The rich text editor, well, this one was necessary. Before this new rich text editor, there was a Markdown editor in Strapi, which is very convenient if you are comfortable with Markdown. But the reality is also that a lot of users do not really appreciate Markdown because it can be a bit complex. It's kind of language, a formatting language, which is really nice. I personally love it. But for marketing teams or less technical people, it was not ideal. And so with the new rich text editor, it is much easier to edit content. And there is a bunch of improvement that we're going to keep making in this editor. Good news also is that there is a React renderer now, which was not live in the early days of this rich text editor. So all of this is live. You can give it a try. It's a game changer. V5. You might have heard about Strapi V5. This is the next major version of Strapi. I will tell more about this new version in a few minutes. Stay tuned. What I can say is that it's very much in progress, and it's very promising. If we think about 2024, and by the way, I cannot see the chat right now, so I cannot see if some people mentioned Strapi Cloud as part of the highlights of 2023, but it certainly was one of the most game changer improvements as part of Strapi. That's new product. It's an entirely separate product. So Strapi Cloud is the platform as a service for every Strapi project. It makes deploying and using and scaling Strapi project seamless. If you didn't give it a try, feel free to go to cloud.strapi.io. You can link an existing GitHub or GitLab repository containing a Strapi project, click on a button, and everything would be live for you. We give you a database, storage for the assets, an email provider. All of this is out of the box, and of course, the Node.js process, the Node.js application for the Strapi application itself. So all of this is out of the box, and it saves a ton of time. So with Strapi Cloud, we also released the regions, so you can deploy Strapi projects not only in the US, but also in Europe, and we might add additional regions as we move forward. Shared projects. So in the early days of Strapi Cloud, it's still an early product that we released in March last year. It was not possible to invite teammates to the project on Strapi Cloud specifically, even if it was, of course, possible as part of the CMS. Now it's possible. You can click on share, and you will invite as many teammates as you need. And this might be quite useful if you are an agency and you want to give your client access to the project and eventually to the billing section. On top of the GitHub login, we also added the Google login, which might be helpful if some people in your team are not technical, but they just want to collect the invoices. This is now possible if they have a Google account. And on top of this, we also added the GitLab authentication. And on top of the GitLab authentication, we also give you the ability to deploy projects from GitLab. This is pretty recent and working like a charm. So if you are not aware of this, feel free to give it a try. Uptime SLAs, that's also something we worked on end of last year. So we now support 99.99 uptime SLA. So if it is something that you need, feel free to take a look at our website and reach out. And another one is the backups. It's essential when you have a production project to make sure that, well, if someone updated the content, or if an error was introduced in the project, you want to make sure that you can easily roll back to a previous version of your project. And this is now possible thanks to the backups. So 2023 really was the year of Strapi Cloud, and we hope that it really makes your life easier. So this graph is the number of active projects on Strapi Cloud. So you can see that it's increasing a lot, and there is a lot that I want to share about this with you. So first, the feedback about Strapi Cloud is extremely positive, and so we are very happy that it saves a lot of time. It makes Strapi easier. So that's really something that we wanted to work on. Strapi is open source. That's great. It's fully customizable. You can host it on any cloud. But with this comes some complexity. And it's probably very easy for some of you. But when some companies need to scale projects and to take care about security and networking and scalability and all of that stuff, they really need that DevOps team. And sometimes developers need to wait for the DevOps team to redeploy the project. So that was quite painful for a lot of users. And the main purpose of Strapi Cloud was to simplify the way people can use Strapi itself. So this is a success. We can see that from the numbers. And another thing I want to share, not only as one of the creators of Strapi, but as a CEO, I just want to say that this is a great boost, fantastic boost to our revenue. And Strapi, is open source, and we really want to make the project sustainable. We are here to stay, and this is an additional positive note for the project itself. You might know that we started making revenue in 2020 with the Enterprise Edition, which is a self-hosted extension of the open source project. It includes single sign-on, audit logs, review workflows, and that's great. We've been making a lot of revenue from it, and that's very much necessary to make sure that the project is sustainable. And now with Strapi Cloud, we are accelerating from a revenue point of view. But we're not only accelerating, but we are shifting our efforts from this Enterprise Edition to Strapi Cloud. We do think that from a philosophy point of view and from a conviction point of view, Strapi Cloud is a great business model, not only for Strapi, but having a SaaS for any open source project is great, because it makes sure that we are not forced to price get every feature. And it's a better alignment between the project itself, the community, and the company behind the open source project, which is, of course, the primary sponsor of the open source project. So that's really good news. We're already convinced about this, but now that it's a reality, that's really something that we want to share with you all. And that's only the beginning. So first, I would like to give a round of applause to us as a community, and also to the team. The Strapi team is working on Strapi every day with you all. So shout out to yourself, shout out to the team. It has been a fantastic journey, and it's only the beginning. There is more for 2024. All right, so before we begin, I have another question for you. What do you expect from 2024? Let's see. V5, yes. Anything else? Better design system. All right, Kevin, feel free to elaborate a bit more on the design system. I know there is Josh in the call who is very much involved in the design system. Tunable translations, deploy to Vercel, API for plugin developers. All right. Okay, so some of this is included, and we'll make sure that we take notes of all of the others. All right, so we consider that there are two problems at the moment. The first one is that the headless CMS editing experience is kind of broken. What we mean with this is that there is the CMS on one side and there is the CMS and the front end on the other side. And so it's good for us as developers because we can have this separation of concern, having the CMS on one side and the front end on the other side. But the problem is that for content editors and even for us as developers, we often want to know where the content is coming from. And so if you go on the home page of the website and you want to change the baseline, well, you need to go in the CMS to find the right entry, to update it from there, and so on and so on. So it's a bit complex, and that's feedback that we receive from a lot of users. And so the strategy is to edit your content where you view it. I will share more about this in a minute. And the other problem is that the development experience could be even more easy. So Strapi Cloud has been a game changer. And the more we move forward, the more we want to unify the experience between Strapi, the CMS, and Strapi Cloud. So we have one objective for this year, which is to make the editing and deployment experience seamless. So let's start with the CMS. So that's basically what we have in mind by unifying the front end and the CMS. I will dig into this, but I wanted to start with a screenshot of what it could look like. Nothing of this is developed. These are just ideas that we're working on. So the idea is that you can go on your front end, hover some components, click on them, and add the CMS right in your front end application. And when you click on the component, you can edit it in the sidebar. And when you edit it in the sidebar in real time, it's updated in the front end. So that's really the kind of things we want to build this year. And there will be 3 different steps. The first one is the link to edit. The second one is the side-by-side editing. And the third one is the live editing. So let's see what it looks like. The first one is the link to edit. So with a very powerful JavaScript/TypeScript SDK, we want to give you the ability to add this SDK to your Next.js, Svelte, Astro application. And when you hover this component, you will have this little rectangle, and you will be able to click on Open to Edit, and you will be redirected in another tab to your Strapi project at the right location. So it will directly open the right content type and the right field. So this way you can easily find where the content is coming from. That's the first step. The second step is the side-by-side editing. And this is what I shown earlier. Within the same tab, there will be no need to have 2 different tabs. You will be able to click on a component, see the CMS on the left, and be able to edit the content. Anytime you do an update, it's reflected in the front end. The third step will be to have inline editing. And this means that within the front end, you will be able to write directly in the component, and all of this will be pushed to the CMS. And this will be done in the background. If you need more power from the CMS, you will still be able to access the CMS, of course. But by doing this, you will be able to very easily edit the content. And the reason why we believe in this is that headless CMSs were created a few years ago, and a lot of people say that it was to manage content on multiple platforms, mobile applications, IoT, and all that stuff. The reality is that, well, we see a lot of Strapi users, and we've worked as freelancers in the past, and the reality is that 95% of people are building websites, they're building applications, web applications, using front-end frameworks. And the creation of headless CMSs was not coming from the need of managing content on multiple platforms, but even more importantly, it was because we as developers wanted to use all of these cool front-end frameworks. I can remember Backbone in the days, and Angular, or maybe AngularJS, I never know which one it is, and then React and Vue.js and Next.js and all of these cool front-end frameworks really are the reasons why this headless CMSs were created. And so it was good to have this separation of concern. But it's very important that we unify the experience, not only for the content editors, but even for the developers. So this is where we're going. So on top of this, there will be a bunch of additional improvements. As you can see here, we are going to add the releases feature. So this feature will allow content editors to publish multiple entries at the same time. So let's say that there is an important event next week. Imagine it is Black Friday, and there is some content that you want to publish at this specific date, at this specific time. Thanks to releases, you will be able to publish multiple entries at the exact same time. So that's coming in this month, actually. V5, so V5, we plan to have a release candidate on the 1st of March, and this stable release will be live in May or June. We'll also work on content history, so you will be able to see the previous versions of an entry and roll back to one of this version. We will finally add the ability to have nested components. There is currently a limit. Just so you know, you can go above this limit, go beyond this limit, by updating the structure of your content in the code, but we are now going to do this available from the content type builder. And we will also release the conditional fields. So this means that depending on the value of a field in the edit view, some or one of the field will be displayed or hidden. The last one is comments. Managing content is all about collaboration. And with this comes the ability to suggest modifications. And so we will have the ability to add comments in real time so you can properly collaborate in your CMS. So this is what it could look like. Again, this screenshots are drafts. We will keep iterating on them. And by the way, maybe it will be bigger like this. No, it's still the same size. All right, so yeah, so that's for draft and publish. That's a very important improvement that will come with V5, is that you will be able to edit an entry that's already published. So this means that let's say that you want to update the homepage of your website, and the homepage is published. And so you want to try some modifications, but you certainly don't want to impact the published entry because it's live, and so you want to edit the homepage as a draft. And this will be possible thanks to V5. So you will be able to edit an entry while the exact same entry is already published. So this is coming with V5. Releases, again, that will be the ability to release, to publish multiple entries at the exact same time in a scheduled manner. Content history, you will be able to see all of the previous versions of an entry and roll back. And V5, so let's talk about it a little bit. So TypeScript will be fully supported. There will be a stronger front-end API. That's something I've seen in the chat earlier. So that's coming. The content API format is going to be updated. So you can say goodbye to the data.attributes formats. That's something that will be not in Strapi anymore. We're moving from Webpack to Vite, and there will be this new draft and publish system that I mentioned earlier, and content history. If you want to join the beta program, we will share a link pretty soon, so you will be able to follow all of the updates. So that's for the CMS. And there is more because we'll keep improving Strapi Cloud. So what's coming for Strapi Cloud? We are currently working on the SOC 2 certification. It's a requirement for a lot of companies. So that's coming. Even more importantly, environments. So we released data transfer in 2023. That's great. You can easily migrate content from one environment to another. And in 2024, we will also add the environments to the cloud. So what we've seen is that a lot of customers create two projects on Strapi Cloud. They create my project production and my project staging. That's fine. But by adding the environments, we will make the workflow much easier. And that means it will be very easy for you to promote the content from one environment to another within one click. So that's something we're going to work on in 2024. And last but not least, we want to work on the CLI. The idea is to allow you to deploy Strapi project very easily by simply typing Strapi deploy in your CLI. So that's something that's coming soon. The idea being to unify the experience between Strapi the CMS and Strapi Cloud. and the goal is to go from 0 to production in 5 minutes max. So it's the challenge that we've set for 2024. Stay tuned, it will be live. All right, so that was a lot of announcements. Do you have any question?
We had some questions already, but Alex did an amazing job answering them. For instance, what about migration from V4 to V5? Context with V2, V4 was quite difficult, and we do remember that, and we heard from the community, and Alex answered, we will provide a migration tool to help on the side, depending on the level of customization you have done. Obviously, we'll still have some manual work to do, but it is our goal to make sure that the process going from V4 to V5 is going to be as best done as possible, and we're creating the tools to help you all out with that. And there's some other questions, and yep, I see Alex answering a lot of the questions. One is, will conditional fields also be enforced at the API level, only on the front end? And Alex said it's not defined yet. If you have some opinions, he shared the link for the feedback at strapi.io, and I'll share it as well in the regular chat. So folks could always go and participate in the communication. And if anyone has other questions, definitely throw them in the chat. And if we can't answer your question right away, we also have the Discord community office hours, 12:30 p.m. CST time, Monday through Friday. Always welcome to stop by.
I can only confirm that we will make sure that the migration process from V4 to V5 is smooth for all of you. We've learned a lot from the migration from V3 to V4. We released V4 too quickly, probably, and we learned a lot from it. We totally understand that the migration process was far away from ideal. It has been a painful process for a lot of people, and we sometimes make mistakes, but we have to learn from these mistakes, and we certainly did. And so that's exactly the reason why we decided to commit on a release candidate date, and to make sure that we have a few weeks, eventually a few months, to iterate on that release candidate, to make sure that we have all of the migration scripts and guides to easily migrate from V4 to V5.
Yep. And also, those of you not familiar, we do have a Strapi Next.js corporate starter, which is currently obviously using V4. And once the migration and V5 is available, I'm going to make a tutorial covering all the steps to help you all out to understand how the process works and how easily you're able to go and update your project from V4 through V5. So we're definitely 100% towards making that experience as best as possible for all of you from the community, based on your feedback when we went from V3 to V4.
Yeah. There was one question about two-factor authentication, and I can share the link to feedback.strapi.io. You can see the two-factor authentication feature being requested, I think, more than 200 times. It's not in our roadmap, to be fully transparent. As you can see on feedback.strapi.io, so on the root page of this website, you will see that there are features that are much more requested than the two-factor authentication. And also because we are shifting from very much enterprise focus that was coming from the enterprise institution to more mid-market SMBs with Strapi Cloud. Two-factor authentication is a feature that we're not going to prioritize that much. That being said, feel free to develop it as a plugin. That's something that's possible. But for the moment, we can't commit on this specifically. Right, and thanks for the link to the PR. So I see a lot of people mentioning deploying on Vercel. Is it something that you need? Why Vercel instead of Strapi Cloud, for example? Is it because you want to make the Strapi project run within your Next.js application, or is it because you already use Vercel and just want to better understand what I
From
mean?
some of the folks, yeah, definitely answer that, help us better understand. But some of the folks that I do talk about on Discord, they say that they want to have like one repo and just to have everything from one place.
Okay, because it's still possible to have one repo and to have two different directories within the repository. And so I'm just wondering if when deploying on Vercel, you want the CMS to run within your Next.js server, or it's because by deploying on Strapi Cloud and Vercel, you have two different deployment times, meaning that maybe the front end will be deployed before the CMS or vice versa. And so I'm just trying to understand if it's one of the reasons why you want to deploy in Vercel. All right, thanks, Jake, for your insight. All right, and yeah, you want to pay for one single solution. Makes sense. Does anyone want to deploy their front-end application to Strapi Cloud? I know it's a more tricky one. That's something we could do too. I'm not saying it's our strategy, and of course, Vercel is great for many of those reasons. All right.
That's a great discussion and questions.
Yeah. Good catch, Jim, on the pricing experimentation. You might have seen on Twitter, especially yesterday, there was a very big post about the price of headless CMSs. So just so you know, at the moment, the Strapi Cloud starts at $99 a month. So that's the price for the Pro tier. And there is a 15 days free trial. And by the end of February, we're going to release a new tier, which will be cheaper. It will start at $29 a month. And so we've heard a lot of users, sort of you, saying that the entry point was quite high, which is something that we totally understand, especially for small projects. And so this new plan will be live soon.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. So Fabio, what if we tell you that it's now $29 a month? Is it better?
See some thumbs up coming up and happy emojis. Nice.
All right. Kevin, feel free to reach out to our sales team. We can think about discounts. It really depends on the number of users. Happy to talk about it. We can sometimes be flexible. So, Alexander, I'm taking a look at your comment about the design system. I think we have some guidelines to build plugins, and we keep iterating in the design system, maybe more for the internal features of Strapi than the plugin themselves. What are your expectations from us in terms of design system?
Yeah, and if you do find issues, you could always make a bug report or give us feedback, because it does really help us.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of design, V5 will really look like V4. There is no big design impact, if at all. The goal of V5 is really to change the way we store content And so this way we can build features such as draft and publish, having the drafted entry while having the same entry published. And it will also allow us to build additional features such as A/B testing, content history, and these kind of things. And yeah, Derek is now a Strapi employee. I've seen someone mention the per seat pricing. So that's indeed what we use for the Enterprise Edition. And if we focus more on Strapi Cloud, it's a mix of the number of seats, the number of API requests, the storage, because there are costs associated with this. What are your thoughts in terms of pricing? Do you mean that the pricing should not be based on the number of seats? To give it a bit of color on the pricing, it's very important that there is a value variable, I would say, in the sense that we want to keep the price affordable for small projects. And at the same time, it's also necessary for us as business that we can make more revenue from people using Strapi very actively. Yeah, that's right, Paul. You can point your Strapi Cloud instance to an external DB. Yeah, there are a lot of comments around user and permission. That's right. Some of them are about refresh tokens. We've focused a bit more on the content management side of things to be fully transparent. And that's why we did not work that much on the users and permissions plugin. We are going to make some improvements in the users and permission plugin after Strapi v5 is live. We don't have a specific roadmap. That's something we will take a look at. Thanks, Josh, for the additional comments about the design system. Okay, thanks, Fabio, for this insights about the database size versus number of entries. There is often a correlation between the two, but it can depend. All right, so Derek, what are you referring to that we mentioned internally? That's hard for me to answer without knowing exactly. But I go for it. There is nothing secret. Yeah, thanks, Derek, for the extra context on user information. All right, and yeah, thanks, Josh. A lot is coming around the documentation for the design system.
And yes, the community call will be available on YouTube, just in case if anybody missed it. I'll post it later today as soon as we're done. And just to remind, like, I know we have like a lot of questions and we might not be able to get to all of them, but we do have the Discord open office hours, 12:30 p.m. CST time. If you want to chat with someone, you can do that, but you could also ask those questions on the forum as well as on our Discord, which is community driven. So if you do want to ask, and talk to one of us, like Derek and I, definitely stop by the open office hours. Really fun time. And I'll share the Discord link just in case you're not on Discord already. Oh, Derek beat me to it. Derek, you're too fast. Too fast, Derek. Too fast.
I'm just getting back to the Vercel thing. Strapi is not compatible with serverless at the moment for two main reasons, and Alex, feel free to add extra context. The first one is that when the server starts, Strapi checks the content structure. And so because it checks the content structure, it slowed down the boots of the server. That's something that could probably be changed by checking the content structure through the deployment process within the CI/CD, no matter if it is on Vercel or somewhere else. And the other reason is also that it checks some functions from plugins, and this is also where we see some latency from when using Strapi in a serverless architecture. Without changing we might make in the future, but based on what we've seen from different users, the focus is very much about the editing experience. Well, Kevin, that's a very good question. I wish I could, but we're now 80 people in the team and have a lot of other responsibilities. I must also admit that there are developers in the team, if not all of them, who are much better than I am. I'm getting married in August, and so during my break between Christmas and New Year, I created a small website for my wedding. That was a lot of fun, and last Sunday I did a Strapi behind it. It was a ton of fun, and it was so cool to spend a bit of time working with Next.js and Strapi and deploying the two of them on both Vercel and Strapi Cloud. So that was a lot of fun. Who was the best of the team that started Strapi? Just curious. Well, this is a very subjective question, and everyone brought different things. So I wouldn't say that someone was better than the other. There's always been teamwork, and it will always be.
Yeah, I think I love the origin story, how when you were all in college, Jim, you, Aurelian, and you just wanted to have an easier way to build projects for your clients before Strapi was a thing, and you just wanted to come up and create something that makes it easier than living in the old PHP WordPress world. And I just love how it came from solving a need that you have, and now we have Strapi that solves that need for everybody else, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's really how we started it, frustrated by traditional PHP, no API CMSs, and building something that helps managing content on any platform, especially with any front-end framework. And that's, of course, based on Node.js with a powerful API. And what's funny is that almost 10 years after, we have more idea than we've never had in the past. So that's great.
Yeah, Kevin says an interview about the way Strapi became a thing would be a Netflix-worthy documentary. Agreed. But if you watch a lot, yeah, let's do it. But if you want to get more story, last community call, we had Jim on, and he shared some of that story behind the scenes. Very, very, very awesome. Yeah. Yeah, you could also. Nice.
All right. When we were doing the call, I created a type form for if you want to stay posted about the updates on Strapi v5. We did not create the official beta users list, I should say. And so I just created this time form. We'll probably do something else in the future, but in the meantime, you can already fill in this form, and we'll make sure that we get back to you once we make more progress on Strapi v5. Of course, you can take a look at the RFCs on GitHub. We keep publishing some of them to collect feedback about the upcoming improvements for Strapi v5.
So Pierre, I know this just came in. I do have a link for the beta.
Oh, you have one?
Yes. And
all right.
I'm going to throw it in the chat here. That's the link to use.
Awesome.
And it just in. So, but
awesome.
So perfect.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, so please ignore my link. Use the one from Paul instead.
There's a huge thank you to Nicholas, who works with us here, for sharing that.
All right. Does any of you have some time in the upcoming weeks or months to contribute to some of the improvements that we mentioned, some of the improvements that you mentioned that we will evaluate to prioritize or not, depending on what we can do. We already have a lot on our plate, but if not now, we'll definitely consider them for the future. So feel free to raise your hand if you want to be involved in some specific topics. All right, so we have Andrea for the user roles. We'll need some help also on the SDK, at least for collecting feedback for this brand new editing experience. All right, is there one last question? Well, Derek, that was the one I was about to ask. That's a very good question and such a good way to end that community call. Are you all excited about Strapi v5 and what's coming in 2024? Yeah, go for it, Jordan.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you for all of these reactions. Thank you for all of your contributions in 2023. It was a fantastic year, and yeah, 2024 will be even better. So thank you for being part of this Strapi community, and stay tuned on the upcoming updates. And as Paul mentioned, we're organizing different kind of calls. You can just Ask Me Anything sessions on Discord, and the next community call will be in 3 months from now. But in the meantime, we'll keep posting a lot of updates. Stay tuned, and the future is bright.
Yes, and a huge thank you to you, Pierre, and everybody in the comments from the community and from the team helping us answer questions. Really, really amazing. I am so proud to work at Strapi, to be part of such a great community, and really knowing that we work on an awesome project that helps to solve a lot of things for a lot of our members and community, which is great. So thank you. Amazing 2023 and even more amazing 2024 to come. And Pierre, as always, thank you again. And with that being said, we'll see everybody later. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Paul, for the organization of the call.